What is up, everybody? It's draft time. That's right. Time to get your mock on. You can draft with us right here, right now. We're going to get a 12-team PPR draft going on Sleeper, as we always do. A lot of you are always with us. But if you haven't drafted with us, here's your chance. Click the link. Hopefully you got those notifications on. We're about to get it on. And see how quickly it fills up. Chris, you're at the 2.
Yes.
And I'm at the 12. I don't know. Just felt like going with a turn today.
Yeah, and I just used a random number generator and it said 2. So there we go.
There you go. Doesn't need to be any reason to rhyme. We're going to do, I think, enough of these.
Yes.
By the time the draft starts, you could probably draft from any spot with our eyes closed. There we go. We're full. Let's get it going. A lot of familiar names, starting with Stinger 101 at the.
All right. No spiciness from Stinger. CMC at the 1. I'll go CeeDee Lamb at the 2.
All right. Yeah. That's definitely a no-brainer. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think I could probably tell you the top 25 players being drafted backwards if you ask me. But
in order, though, could you do it in order?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. The 20s, it's been shifting, though. We have seen this, right? Some of these running backs are starting to drop a little bit. I think there's some receivers starting to get a little overdrafted, but we'll see.
And by the way, this is a full PPR league, 3 wide receiver, full PPR league. So keep that in mind, as we've now seen 5 straight wide receivers off the board.
Makes sense, but Coach Dan Campbell denied his guy on Ross St. Brown, so goes with Bijan.
Yep. I'm sure he's very upset about that. I'm surprised he did not take Jahmyr Gibbs, though. But
a little early. Feels a little early for Gibbs.
I mean, I don't know. It's the same guy who drafted Jahmyr Gibbs with the number 11 overall pick or number 12 overall pick in the NFL draft. So I don't know.
Well, that's true. If it was the real coach, maybe he would have gone with his guy. Maybe I'll get his guy. Gibbs might fall here. All right. Well,
Puka at the turn would have been nice value. Now this is an interesting spot for you here.
Yeah, almost always there's a running back. I feel like I'm just gonna split the difference here. I'll go Gibbs. And I'd be okay taking JT, but again, 3 receiver, full PPR. I'm just gonna lean on him as my anchor. I'll get a guy I really have barely gotten. That's Harrison.
I thought you might go with the Gibbs JT start. I thought you might do that, which I mean, man, I think if I'm at the turn in my real fantasy leagues and I can get Gibbs JT as a start, I think I'm just taking that, and then I'm probably just ignoring running back for like 7 rounds. That seems pretty good to get Gibbs JT. Not that Gibbs Harrison is bad by any stretch. That's good too.
I know. Trust me. I thought about it. Knowing the people we have in this draft and the format, I'm a little scared of what receiver might be my number 1 guy by the time it gets back to me at the very end there. But we'll see. Also, I've been taking JT a lot, and I probably will. And like you said, if it's a real draft, maybe I just go with him. But almost have no Harrison, so I finally got him.
Well, it's good you got some exposure to Marvin Harrison in these mock drafts that do nothing for your exposure. It's good.
It's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off big time. Just gotta feel, right? He's gotta it's like going to the try on clothes. You gotta check it out, see how it feels. See if you want to buy into that on the real draft day.
True. Well, the thing is, I mean, it's going to change so much between now and say the last 2 weeks of August when drafts really get into full swing.
True. All
right. I'm going to go. Who do I think Stinger likes here? I'm just going to go Waddle here.
Good pick. Just talked about him.
Yeah. That was another one of the guys I was considering. Okay. Stinger, would you have gone Waddle if I had gone Pittman? Let's go with Devonta Smith.
Okay. So
Okay. Well, yeah. So those three guys. Okay. So because he says he wanted Evans first, but Waddle was the other option. So.
Well, I was gonna say he took two of your favorite picks right there, Evans and Pittman, but Waddle is right there with you, and I don't think you're really disappointed to get Devontae Smith.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And now that Jalen Waddle is gone, NMB wants to know, will Hill regress, assuming Waddle will be more involved? And what's the argument that Chase shouldn't be number one? So let's start with the Waddle Hill. You think Hill regresses if Waddle is more involved?
No, because they really. Well, okay, so it's fine. I actually just shared it with you. I saw online something about the wide receiver target share for the top receivers versus the bottom. I was a little surprised. I think it was a little misleading as far as the Dolphins go. Made it look like they spread the ball out more than they do. They really don't. So I'm not sure with that. But look, Tyreek Hill, there's no regression unless he's hurt. Let's just face it. He's still probably the fastest receiver in the entire league. I'm not in any possible way worried. Tyreek Hill's coming off his best season ever. Think about that. Ever. I'm not worried about Tyreek Hill. So they don't really have a number 3 guy unless you think Odell Beckham is all of a sudden going to be a threat. Unless you think Jonnu Smith's there, they're going to start throwing the tight end a whole lot. Yeah, so that's a hard no. I don't think you're not worried about Tyreek Hill either.
No, and let's not forget 2 years ago, Tyreek Hill went over 1,700 yards, and Jalen Waddle had 1,350 yards and 8 touchdowns that year. These guys can both be great, and it's fine. So I'm not worried about that. Now, if you watch my predicting the top 12 scores, I think I put Chase at like 8. And it certainly triggered people. People were not happy to see Chase at number 8. So, what's the argument that Chase shouldn't be number 1? I'll let you start.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna grab here.
You still have one more pick.
Tell you, yeah. Yeah. See, okay. I'm just gonna go a little different here. There's players I don't usually take. That I know I'm not crazy about Achane, but round 4, I feel like I'll just take him and see what happens.
You're all round 4 early round 4 Achane. That's an auto pick. You have to pick him there.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying is I just don't think I can pass there. I mean, it's not a receiver that jumps out. I'm still leery about Cup there, like Keenan. That's like I gotta take it. Okay. The case against Chase is, well, he's been really good, but honestly, has he put together a Tyreek Hill type season? He hasn't. His rookie season, he was great, but then he missed a few games. Last year, didn't really miss much time, but he's kind of been banged up. I'm not holding that against him. Burrow's also been banged up. Okay, let's assume Burrow's 100%. Not worried about that. I still have yet to see that he is just flat out dominating for a full season because there always seems to be something. I don't mind taking him as a top 5 receiver, but I just don't see him. He hasn't done what Tyreek Hill has done. He hasn't done what Justin Jefferson has done yet. Right. Maybe he does this year, but why? I just don't understand why I would take him over the guys who have done it. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, exactly. And I talked about this in that video. Even if you go back 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl and Burrow was healthy all year and great, and Ja'Marr Chase was mostly healthy that year. He did miss a couple games. He had games of 10 PPR points, 12 PPR points, 12 PPR points, 12 PPR points, 13 PPR points, 13 PPR points. I mean, yes, he gives you those big games for sure, but I feel like unlike the guys you talked about, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, who give you those huge games week in and week out. Yes, they'll have those 12-point games as well, but it seems like those guys only have them like a handful of times a year, right? Like whereas Ja'Marr Chase, he'll have those huge games for sure, but he'll also have those games where it's like all that stretch of games where it's like, yeah, he's just been okay. Also, the risk with Ja'Marr Chase, as we've seen, is if he does not have, he is not quarterback proof. Ja'Marr Chase is 100% not quarterback proof. We saw it last year when Joe Burrow wasn't healthy and B wasn't on the field. He was not quarterback proof. Whereas we saw Justin Jefferson pretty much quarterback proof. Tyreek Hill, even when it's been like Teddy Bridgewater or who was the other guy? Skylar Thompson. Was that his name? Skylar Thompson, right?
Yeah.
Like still pretty quarterback proof. So yeah, that's my case against him. Now look, we could see him this year, obviously, like, you know, be the best Ja'Marr Chase we've ever seen. Wow, where are all the running backs? But I don't think I can put him ahead of those guys personally. And let's not forget T. Higgins, still a pretty good wide receiver in his own right. So
yeah, the way I look at it is the other way. It's why should I take Chase over CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, or Tyreek Hill? Like, I can't think of a justifiable reason why I would do that.
Maybe this is the year where it happens and like Burrow stays healthy all year and Chase is just a monster, you know, the whole season. But I mean, even that year in 2022, when they, like I said, when they went to the Super Bowl and Burrow was healthy, he was still number 4 in points per game that year.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nothing wrong with that. It's great. It's great. Not saying it's bad. It's great. But I just feel like those other guys, you know, they give you that huge ceiling with a better floor.
Exactly. I really can't think of any justifiable reason to think why would I take Chase over CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill. Jefferson, okay, maybe if you really want to put the case out there, I'm worried about the Darnold McCarthy duo. Okay, fine. That's a legit reason. I'm not worried about it, but I can understand being worried about it. But there's absolutely no reason to take Chase before Tyreek Hill, who again is coming off his best season. There's no reason.
Yeah. And didn't we do this like a week or two ago? Dynasty Superflex, Marvin Harrison goes 101. Who we taking at 102? It's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams.
Look, if it's super flex, I'm taking Caleb Williams at the 1-1. But if you want to go Harrison, fine. At number 2, Caleb is just no brainer. Like, there's no question.
All right, how about this one from JSC? Because they both went basically, 4 picks apart. Waddle or Brandon Ayuk? Assuming he's back in San Francisco, which, as I've been saying, it sounds like that's going to be the case. Like, he's going to be in San Francisco. So, assuming he's in San Francisco, if you are on the clock and your Waddle and Ayuk are available, who are you taking?
I think it's closer than some people think. I would still go Ayuk, but I don't think it's a slam dunk that Ayuk out produces Waddle this year. But yeah, I got Ayuk a little bit higher. But again, that's kind of that range where it's a little bit iffy. I mean, you can make a case for a lot of players between Ayuk, Waddle, you know, Evans, Pittman, London. You know, there's going to be a lot of variety in terms of how round 2, round 3 break down where those guys get drafted. So I still got Ayuk a little bit higher.
Yeah, same. But I mean, wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the year Waddle is better. But yeah, I think Ayuk a little bit higher. He's got that more like that big play ability, and I feel like he's more of a threat in the red zone as well. So I'll go Ayuk slightly over him. All right, let's save HBT Bears here before he makes a huge mistake. He's got the number 6 pick in a 10-person league, and apparently they're allowed to trade picks because somebody wants his 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, and 4th-round pick, but then he'll get the 101 and a 5th-round pick. So basically he would have pick 101, 106, and then a 5th. You wouldn't have any 2nd or 3rd or 4th-round pick. Can't do this, right? You need those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-round picks, right?
It's a 10-team league. Okay, so you're moving from 6 up to 1, but we don't know.
No, I think he's staying. I think he's staying at 6.
He's saying. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to process all this, but let me make my pick so I don't time out again.
So if I'm reading this right, he's staying at 6, and then he would have the 1. So he'd have the 1 and the 6. So basically, he would have like Christian McCaffrey and I don't know, let's say Amon-Ra St. Brown. But then he would give up the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-round picks, and then he'd have a 5th-round pick again. So he'd have McCaffrey and Amon-Ra, let's just say, like Amon-Ra at 6. But then he wouldn't pick again until round 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just get this done here. Again, don't usually, but I'll stack with Tank.
There's some serious quarterback value in this draft right now.
Yeah. Usually I would wait, but okay. He says he's at pick 6. He's got the 1-6. He would be trading his round 2, 3, and 4 for the first overall pick. Okay, so I get it. So he's not moving up. He would then have the 1-1 and the 1-6, right?
Yeah, but then he wouldn't pick again until round 5.
I mean, so we're going for quality over quantity. That's what I'm thinking. This is a 10-team league, so don't imagine that depth is much of an issue here, right? I don't think I would necessarily go for this in a 12-team league, but look, if your team is good enough already, that's the big if. You're pick 6, so I guess you're kind of like a mid-tier team here, right?
Well, I don't think it's Dynasty. I think it's just it's a redraft league.
It's not Dynasty?
I don't think so. I think it's a redraft league. So that's why I'm saying like so yeah, I mean I don't think it's Dynasty.
Because he says I'll be able to get CMC.
Yeah, and
so this is not Dynasty.
I don't think you'll get a top 3 wide receiver. Maybe you'll get like Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Because again, you look at the board here. Here's the problem. If you take this, let's say you take CMC, and then let's say Amon-Ra St. Brown is gone. Are you going to go CMC, Bijan Robinson, and then not have a pick until round 5?
Okay, so that just now I'm massively confused. But this changes everything. He did say redraft here. He's saying it's redraft.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because a lot of leagues don't allow you to trade draft picks for redraft. Right. Okay, and so it's not a startup either. This is not Dynasty Keeper at all. This is just straight up redraft.
Right.
You can on ESPN. Okay, in that case, that's an easy no. It's no. You can't sacrifice 2nd, 3rd, and 4th just to get, because look, first round, I hate to say it, but the bust rate in the first round is a little higher than it is in the later rounds because you're drafting them so high. You really would need CMC, right? He's saying he's going to take CMC, and whoever you get at the 6, whoever that would be, I guess one of the top receivers, they're going to have to carry your team. You're just putting too many eggs in, I guess, 2 baskets.
Yeah, I think exactly. Like, and what do you do? I know it's a 10 team, and like studs matter even more in a 10 team, but still, like, not having a pick till round 5. I mean, look at the guys in round 5. Like, I mean, like, yeah, they're not bad. You know what I mean? But you're passing on some studs in round 2 and round 3. So, and even in round 4. So Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
Look, we're through 5 rounds here. Let's see. Here's what you're asking, basically. Let's just pretend it goes exactly the way this draft would. Okay, so you would have CMC, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then your next pick would be Amari Cooper, and then your next pick after that is Jahmyr Swift. So you got CMC and Swift, and Sun God and Amari, right? Or you would have basically Lizard King's team. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyron Williams, DJ Moore, Rashad White, yeah, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Swift. So is it worth having Sun God instead of Kyron, Rashad White, and DJ Moore? That's what I'm asking. That's am I looking at it right?
Yeah, I think you're just giving up too many good players in those rounds.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your team is going to be filled out with maybe the guys you draft the rest of the draft come through, but maybe they also don't, because you're talking about round 5, round 6, round 7, round 8, round 9. You're getting to the guys where it's like, yeah, these are far from sure things. And sure, CMC and Amon-Ra will probably be great, but yeah, the rest of your team might just be terrible. So I don't think you can do that.
No, I don't think so. Again, you'd be relying on those guys to carry your team just way too much. I mean, look, CMC is the 1-1. CMC is probably the top running back again in fantasy and all that. But is he single-handedly going to outscore 2 other starting running backs plus another receiver? I think the drop-off is too much.
Yep. All right, Swag Lord, Money Slayer Lord. That is a name. He's in a 10-team PPR league with his friends. What's the best draft strategy? Well, I'll just say draft the best players. But I will say this. So we kind of hinted at this last week. We have something pretty incredible. Pretty incredible is an understatement. We literally have something ready to go, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. But literally, it is an algorithm, a draft algorithm that Pierre and I and our awesome developer Ali, if you're watching, thank you so much. You've been amazing. We worked on this and worked on this and worked on this, and we have created a draft algorithm that is going to work with Sleeper, ESPN, and Yahoo leagues, I think. No CBS or anything. Regardless of your scoring, regardless of your roster settings, and it's going to draft the players that we would draft. It's not just rankings, like take this guy. It's like, no, it actually is going to look at your team, look at your league, look at your roster, and say, based on what you've drafted so far, here's the guys we would take. So not just because, you might get to a point in the draft, like you look at my draft now, I haven't taken a running back yet. Rankings might say, take wide receiver here, but it's like, hey, you need to start taking running back. So it's going to actually look at how you've drafted, who's available, your league settings, and say, these are the top guys we recommend you take based on everything and the way you've drafted so far so that you can draft the best team. So that is what I would say is the best draft strategy for you this year. It's not live quite yet, but man, it's right there, and I can't wait to show it to you guys.
Yeah, so that's the bottom line is your best strategy is get the app. But we'll be talking about that soon. I know someone earlier had asked also about the Flock thing. No, not with Flock anymore this season. I mean, it was a good experience. Shout out Flock because Mason's a great guy and obviously a top content producer. But yeah, we're just on our own now. We got a lot of exciting things that we're planning for this year. So
gonna be huge. Gonna be awesome. All right, Young Money, what's up? Wants us to explain why Olave is going over Ayuk, Nico, Waddle, Evans, Pittman, and Debo.
Yes. He's the clear and obvious number 1 receiver for his team. Ayuk and Debo, obviously, being on the same team there, are kind of sharing targets, and they kind of take turns sometimes. Nico is part of now a 3-man wide receiver committee. Waddle is obviously the number 2 receiver there. Pittman and Evans are the guys that I feel best about target share. And yeah, they are the clear number one receivers. I really like Michael Pittman, and I don't have any reason not to say that you couldn't take Pittman over Olave, but I think Olave just, again, it's going to get the biggest target share for his team. He's got that deep ball ability that Pittman, doesn't quite pull off in the same way. Olave is more of a speed threat, right? Big game ability. So that's really what it is.
Yeah, and I'll say Olave pretty easily over Nico and Debo for me. Like not even an issue, honestly. I will say Ayuk, Waddle, Evans, and Pittman are close, but I think what gives him the edge is there's no competition here. I mean, I like Shaheed as a late round sleeper, but Shaheed probably isn't even gonna barely gonna sniff 100 targets this year. And what I also really like about the Saints, and I saw this, I think it was Jacob Gibbs, because they have a new OC, Clint Kubiak. So it's not going to be this, the same boring offense. I mean, they're not going to be like the best offense or anything. But one thing I saw last year was like the Saints ran one of the lowest amount of play action last year. And with Kubiak, that should go way up. And Jacob Gibbs showed the stat that wide receiver ones excel, just do way better off of play action. So, and pre-snap motion and stuff. So and not to mention he's entering year 3. I think we see the best year from Olave. So look, you could sit here and debate with me about Olave with Ayuk, Waddle, Evans, and Pittman. Okay, I still like Olave better. I think he'll be better, but not Nico and Debo. I'm pretty easily Olave over those guys.
Yeah. And no, you don't have to love Derek Carr to love Olave.
No, come on, nobody. I don't think anybody here dislikes Derek Carr more than me.
No, probably not.
All right, so D asking when that will be ready. I mean, it technically is ready. We just need to do some finishing touches on like our rankings and things like that, and then I think it'll be out. And if you use the app last year, as the same app that we had last year, not to mention, not only do you get that awesome draft, basically like Pierre and I telling you like, hey, this is who we would literally draft here if we were on the clock right now. But in the season, you can also ask questions, start, sit, waiver wire, trades. Oh man, this is also awesome. So we built this thing where now if you want to ask us a trade question, so a lot of times like when we do our streams, we get a trade question like, I need a running back. Who should I trade for? It's like, I don't know. Who's on your team? What teams in your league have like a surplus of running backs? Well, we actually in this app, the same app that you obviously can download for free. It's not free to do the draft or whatever, but you can download it for free and check it out. We actually created our developer, who's awesome, created a thing where if you say, hey, suggest me some trades, we can actually look at your team, say here's what we feel like you need, and then we can look at your entire league and say, oh, this guy has like 5 good running backs. Let's offer your extra wide receiver for one, and we can actually send you trade suggestions that you can actually send to your league mates, like that we would actually do ourselves. So yeah, it's incredible. Can't wait for it. It's gonna be
game changing. That's what
best fantasy app out there, probably. No joke. No joke.
Oh yeah, most detailed. All right. I'm going to continue my run and uninspiring receivers. Really, actually not liking the way this draft is coming in.
Joe, what's up? Saying you missed it again. Sorry, Joe, but don't worry. Still got plenty of off season.
What's up, Joe? This reminded me I haven't made my move in chess for a while.
All right, JSC wants to know who's our QB1. He likes Mahomes and Stroud a lot. He's not saying there he's QB1, but who's your QB1?
I'm going Hurts. I think it's got to be Hurts. I mean, it has to be. I like Mahomes and Stroud too, but in fantasy, you have to like the guys who run in double-digit touchdowns, right? It's either Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. Pick your poison. With the new OC, I'm going to go Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's close between him and Josh Allen for me. I still, Jalen Hurts is my guy. I mean, I got to get a new picture this year. I feel like maybe it's time to replace the Jalen Hurts picture. It's been up there forever. The Barry Sanders book will never be replaced. He's a legend. He will never be replaced. I think I still got to go Josh Allen. I could certainly see Jalen Hurts doing it, but man, Josh Allen's just been so good. And I think I know losing Stephon Diggs hurts, but let's be real. Stephon Diggs didn't do anything the second half of last year, and he was still the QB1. So with that rushing and with the touchdowns, I know Jalen Hurts has it too. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's Hurts, but I still have Allen at 1. But it's flip a coin between them. Flip a coin.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't necessarily make a difference if you think about who is the QB1. I don't think it'll be a big difference between those two guys necessarily. I think you're happy with either one in your fantasy draft. And probably, I don't know, personally, I'm not taking those guys where they usually get taken in drafts anyways, because I don't feel like I need to have the QB1 to win in fantasy, because that's usually not what wins fantasy leagues. As long as you have one of the top, I don't know, 8 to 10 quarterbacks, I think you're fine. I mean, unless you really expect one of these guys to have a record-breaking season. If you have that guy, okay, that's different. But I don't expect CJ Stroud to throw for 5,000 yards, have a Peyton Manning type of season. So I mean, I hate to say it doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter. I give Hurts the edge though, just because I definitely like his skill players better, especially this year with Diggs gone. I mean, even if Diggs lost a step, I think I'd still take Diggs over Keon Coleman.
All right. I'm not that high on Eckler, but Eckler in the 11th, I'll gamble. I'll gamble on the Eck. Brian asking how we get access to the app. You're just gonna download it at the App Store. We'll let you know. The one trying to figure out a way I can use it on these mock drafts so I can show you guys in action how it works. Hopefully next week when we mock, I'll be able to show it off and you guys can actually see it in action and see the team that it actually drafts for me. I shouldn't say for me, because that's the thing. Okay, it doesn't draft for you. It's not like it just gives you our suggestions when you're on the clock. Like says, okay, you're on the clock. These are the guys we suggest you pick. You can still pick whoever you want. It's not like it does the draft for you, but it gives you our suggestions who would pick. So,
right.
Okay. We've talked a lot about Jaden Reed and Christian Watson. Who do we like better? Let's assume they were going back to back. Like they were being drafted exactly the same. In that case, who would you prefer?
Well, let's see when you phrase it that way. Yeah, because it's same ADP. So you're asking who we draft. You already know the answer. You're watching the videos. You know what we say. But I'm still going to say Watson. I mean, it's just a matter of staying healthy, isn't it? Isn't that it? If they are both on the field the same amount, or at least active the same amount of games, why isn't Watson the wide receiver 1? He is. They want him to be the number 1 guy there. So it really just comes down to, are you assuming he'll get hurt again or are you not? But
which that may be the thing that if they were going at the same ADP, maybe would sway me towards Jaden Reed. I mean, look, anybody can get hurt and anybody can stay healthy. I remember Keenan Allen, his first few years in the league, was always getting hurt. People were like, I'm never drafting this guy again. And then he went like 5 straight years without missing a game and was a fantasy stud. Now, I'm not saying Christian Watson is Keenan Allen level. I'm just saying yeah. I think if they were at the same ADP, I might go Jaden Reed. It's not so much that I like Christian Watson so much more than Jaden Reed this year. It's more that like I can get Christian Watson 3 to 4 rounds later. And I do agree a little bit with this, with what Young Money's saying here. I think maybe this is a little too hard on Jaden Reed, but I do think the hype is a little too high on Jaden. I mean, look, we like Jaden Reed, and of course we had Matt Harmon on here before the NFL draft last year, and he was high on Jaden Reed for sure. But I do feel like people are a little like, you look at Jaden Reed last year, like, I mean, he had one game with 100 yards the entire season last year. He only had what, 1, 2, 3 games over 80 yards. Like, I don't know if Jaden Reed was quite as good as people remember him being last year. So I do kind of agree with that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing is a good amount of Jaden Reed's fantasy production did come from touchdowns.
Right.
And now the other thing is it's a little misleading too. You say he averaged how many catches for yards, but he also was used out of the backfield. They would give him ends arounds and use him basically as a runner. And that's nice because there's very few receivers you get that from. Now he's not going to be the next Debo. It's not like, if Josh Jacobs goes down, like, all right, let's line up Jaden Reed. No, that's going to be on certain plays, certain packages. It's just a little bonus, right? A little extra. But I have to think that when Watson is on the field, he's the number one receiver. And I can't ignore the fact that even though it's nice that Reed gets those end arounds and those things, Watson was by far the number one red zone target. Like, they just kept on, and it's weird because he's not a big receiver, right? He's a speed guy, but he was the red zone threat. Now, they didn't connect on a lot of those red zone targets, but again, I think that I've got to take a chance on the upside. Reed feels safer, but here's what I'm saying. I'm not drafting these guys in round 1 or 2 or 3, right? No matter what their ADP is, not the same. Round 5, 6, 7, 8, give me the upside. Give me the upside. That's what I'll do.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. So, all right, what else we got here?
All right. Yeah, well, I wouldn't call him a fraud. Brian's saying he's a fraud. Nah, he just hasn't stayed healthy. So I know we could get burned here again, but I feel encouraged about the fact that they actually did kind of figure out what the problem was. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be completely fixed? No, but at least they figured out there is a reason and they're doing something about it.
Yeah, let's hope that was the reason. All right, Sly Surtfield. In Dynasty, in a Dynasty startup draft, how close are Harrison Jr., JJ, CD, and Chase? I think they're pretty close.
By the way, just totally missed. It was a perfect chance talking about Christian Watson to throw out the quote about the paper skin and glass bones.
The SpongeBob quote you used on the baseball stream.
Exactly. Y'all know that one. I'm sure this crowd, we know that the SpongeBob quote. Every night I'm put to sleep by my heart attacks.
Yeah, that's how you feel when you have Christian Watson on your fantasy team.
That was the best episode. The best episode. Okay. How close in Dynasty startups? Pretty close.
These guys got to be pretty close. How would you rank them?
I mean, I don't know. This is me. I can't just go out and say Marvin Harrison Jr. is the number one guy when I haven't seen him play an NFL game. I can't. I get the whole age thing, but still, these guys are all young. Here, you might be able to make a case for me of Chase over CD because he's got at least the 1-year advantage. Dak Prescott, we don't know if he's going to be in Dallas long term. There's a lot of question about that. Justin Jefferson, again, not big difference, but there's a year. I actually think if we're talking a dynasty startup, I might still have Chase number 1.
Chase 1, really? I still go JJ number 1. I mean, He's a monster. He's just a monster, and he's still only 25. Like, not worried about him. Chase and CD, you could argue. Probably go Chase over CD. And then Harrison. I don't know if Harrison would necessarily be number 4. He'd be number 4 in this list. Like, am I ready to put Harrison over Amon-Ra? Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown. He's right there with those guys somewhere. Yeah, but they're close. They're definitely close.
Okay. Last pick here.
And then I know we're gonna get this a lot, and I understand why we're gonna get this a lot this year. So Adam saying Gibbs is awesome, but with 50 U's. David Montgomery is still there. There's no way he's taking Gibbs in the first. So why? What's the case for Gibbs in the first, knowing that David Montgomery is still there?
Well, that's actually what I was saying at first too. I had a hard time kind of wrapping my head around Gibbs as a first round pick. And again, I don't necessarily feel he's a smash. Like you have to take him in the first round. I mean, obviously I did in this draft, but I also don't usually take, a lot of the other guys I took in this draft. And I don't actually love my draft today, but still, you have to look at the fact that Monty was there all last year, and he was the main guy at the beginning of the year. Remember in the first however many games, Gibbs, everyone who drafted Gibbs was banging their heads because he didn't get on the field at all. Feels like he was never out there. Barely touched the ball the first couple of games, and then he did, and then he didn't, and then didn't play. So if you really look at just since I think it's week 7 on, and especially down the stretch, how many carries he got. He's putting up RB1 numbers, even with David Montgomery there. And so if he gets even just a little bit more involved, which they've already said he's going to be more involved, he's definitely an RB1. He has the weekly upside to carry your team. And that's what we're looking for here. We're not looking for the boring guy who's going to just chug along and get you the touches. Like, okay, fine. Like Joe Mixon is just there. He's fine. And he's solid. He's boring. But how many times did you really feel like if you had Joe Mixon last year, like he helped you win personally, other than that 1 week where he got like 4 touchdowns?
Right. Yeah, that's what I'll say. Like you look at over the down the stretch, Gibbs 15, 15, 13, 8, 9, 12 carries. Monty 17, 17, 14, 10, 14, 10, 15. So it definitely went from being like Monty as the early down guy and Gibbs as the change of pace guy to more of like a split. But of course, you look at the receptions. Monty had 16 catches last year, and he's never had more. That's not his game. Gibbs had 52 last year, and remember, again, like you said, Gibbs had a lot of weeks where he was not playing, a lot of the snaps. He was a rookie, so I think it's not hard to project, Gibbs going into year 2, earning the trust of this staff, and with his explosive ability, being more of the 1A, or at least like a 50-50 split on the ground, with Gibbs being the guy getting all or most of the receptions here. And what I also liked about Gibbs, this was my worry for Gibbs as a prospect, was like, this guy isn't going to score any touchdowns. This guy only got 4 goal line carries in college. Right? He's not going to get goal line carries. But he got 6 goal line carries last year. He ranked 15th in red zone touches. Like the Lions weren't scared of giving this little dude the ball near the goal line. So, yeah, I think Gibbs is going to clearly be the better of the two here. So, all right, but the draft is over.
Yeah. My team will be last here. I got the 12th pick. Just to finish up with that real quick, I'd also say I'd much rather have a guy who's 1A, 1B, whatever, in a timeshare on a good offense, which happens to have, I think, objectively the best, maybe the second best offensive line in the league. That matters a lot, right? The Lions, maybe with Kelsey retired, Philly slips a little bit, but Eagles, whatever. Lions have one of the best offensive lines, one of the best running teams in the league. So yes, it gives you a super high floor, and his breakaway ability, super high ceiling. And yeah, you can't just look at season-long totals, because I'll say this: why do I like Gibbs, and why do you like Gibbs better than Kyren Williams, who put up better numbers last year? Because Gibbs will always at least be the 1A in that offense. If Kyren gets hurt or struggles or something, it won't be a timeshare, because that's not how Sean McVay rolls. It will all of a sudden, out of nowhere, be all Blake Corum, and then Kyren watches on the sidelines, shedding a tear. Okay. Let's see if nobody's shedding tears here. Stinger got the 101 appropriately, took CMC. Evans and Pittman, Kenneth Walker, Pickens, Rashee Rice, Calvin Ridley, Singletary, Dak, Njoku, Dobbs, Gabe Davis, your boy, Nick Chubb, your other boy, and rounding it out with your other favorite pick, Luke McCaffrey.
I think the first 11 picks are great. Gabe, Chubb, McCaffrey, whatever. But I mean, like, you're looking at, I guess you had to get the McCaffrey family represented on here. CMC, Kenneth Walker, Devin Singletary. That's fine. When you have CMC, it's fine. You don't need a ton of running backs behind him. Evans, Pittman, Pickens, Rice, Ridley, that's fine. You got Dak, who continues to be just an absurd value in every fantasy draft. I don't understand it. And Njoku at tight end. So yeah, I think you should feel good about this team. I mean, I have a feeling Gabe and Chubb and McCaffrey are going to be wasted picks, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, don't love the end, but that's fine. I actually like Dobbs there, good value pick. Like getting Dak and Njoku late there. So your receiver room is pretty stacked. And then running back, I think you're pretty fine. I think I would have taken a swing on maybe another young running back there late instead of Gabe, instead of Chubb. But that's kind of being nitpicky. So I think it's very solid. Chris, definitely 0 RB team here. Went CD, Waddle, Devontae T, Josh Allen, Kyle Pitts, and then Xavier Worthy. Your running backs are basically the whole entire second half of your draft. Pollard, B-Rob, Sharps, Eckler, Rico, Elijah Mitchell, and CEH. All right. Renaissance of CEH. You like how it turned out?
I mean, for a 0 running back draft, it's fine. It's just like when I got to Kyle Pitts, I mean, there wasn't a lot on the board at running back still that I felt good about in this spot. Like, I mean, yeah, so I just went ahead and took Pitts and Worthy and said, okay, fine, we'll just figure it out. I think Pollard and B-Rob can get me by. And then I got some handcuff kind of guys there if I need them. Obviously, whenever you draft a 0 RB team, you're going to be like, wow. I mean, look, I got Josh Allen in the 5th. Like, okay, I'll take that all day. So, yeah, it's a 0 RB team. It is what it is. You're gonna hate the running backs every time you draft 0 RB. That's how it is.
Yeah, actually, for waiting so long, you got some pretty good names, some 1As in their backfield, right? Pollard, supposedly, at least 50-50 B-Rob. Rico could be the 1A in Dallas. Who knows? So I think it's pretty good. A little surprised because, I know you like Jonathan Brooks. You didn't consider him there. Do you feel like it's too early for him?
Well, I don't know if it's too early for him, but I don't think we're going to see a lot from Jonathan Brooks early in the year. So now I'm drafting a running back on a 0 RB team as my RB1 who might not even play or be very limited to start the year. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like me, if I was going to consider a running back over Worthy, it probably would have been like a Kamara or a Mostert, just because I feel better that they'll give me something to start the year.
Great. And I think it makes a lot of sense. You're taking your first 2 running backs there, guys who are going to get touches. Very different, where the exact same spot there where Stinger took Singletary, it might have made more sense for him to take more of an upside running back like a Corum or something like that, because that's your RB3. You need guys who are getting touches, you know what I mean? So, yeah, just it all depends on the roster construction, not just the ADP. All right, Clayton. Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Kelsey, Kirk, Zamir White, Jonathan Brooks, Tyjae Spears, Burrow, Jalen White, Wicks, Myers, Tracy, and Tank.
I like it. So sort of zero RB here, but definitely like your. Well, I like the fact that you got Zamir White. Definitely like that better. Got Burrow, that's good. Yeah, I mean, this is another good team. Took some shots on some upside running backs late, some upside wide receivers late. Yeah.
I'm surprised he took Neighbors over Debo. Had a chance to get his guy right there. But hey, you believe in Neighbors, totally fine. Yeah, I think got good values throughout. So for a mostly zero RB team, pretty good. Team 4, don't know what happened.
I don't know who Team 4 was, but okay. They left.
All right. Well, let's just do a quick breakdown of Team 4. It was somebody. Jamar Chase, Jacobs Henry, Hurts, Kincaid, Jaden Reed, Ladd McConkey, Najee, Dotson Pearsall, Cooks, Javon Baker, Braylon Allen, and Isaac Garindum.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I like this team. Jacobs at the 2.9 feels early to me for Jacobs. But I mean, I guess it's all right. Like, I mean, if you don't want to go wide receiver there, I don't really know who you're going. I mean, are you really going Etienne at the 2.9? That feels early too. So, all right. And I'm not drafting Najee, but it's fine. He's your RB3. But I mean, other than that, I pretty much like this team. I think you got some shots, like Pearsall, if Debo somehow gets traded, which I don't think is going to happen. Baker, maybe in New England. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I don't know who Team 4 is, but if you're listening, it's all right.
Actually thinking, I want to say, I think it was Brian Ibarra, because I remember he was in this draft, so I'm not sure what happened with the app or something, but I know he was here. Yeah, it's not a team I would draft. Jacobs, I don't even like Jacobs in round 3, much less round 2, but you're going RB, QB, tight ends. Look, Hurts in round 4 is fine. Kincaid in round 5, I like. But then again, you're in a 3 receiver flex PPR league. Your number 2 receiver is Jaden Reed. Number 3 receiver is McConkey. Your number 4 is one of those guys. So yeah, not the kind of build I would want for this format. Amal, let's see how he feels about his team. Ty Hill, Brandon Ayuk, and Debo, McBride, McLaurin, and then all the running backs are just like sandwiched there in the middle. Connor and Benson, Moss and Gus, Zeke and Ty Chandler, Love at QB, Franklin Mims. I noticed a pattern here. Tell me what your thoughts are. We say, okay, you got 2 teammates. That's not necessarily an issue, especially if you're at a top, offense like San Francisco, like Ayuk and Debo. We got Ayuk and Debo, and then we got 2 Arizona running backs back-to-back, Connor and Benson. And then we got 2 Denver receivers back-to-back, and Franklin and Mims. This got 3
and you got
the same position. Do you feel like this is a little bit too much, limiting your own upside? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you got Arizona tight end. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't get Purdy to stack with Debo and Ayuk, but it is what it is. I don't hate the team, though. I mean, Ty Hill, Ayuk, Debo, Terry, that's fine. I don't know if I would go Connor and Benson back-to-back personally, but it's okay. You got Moss, Everett, Zeke. I mean, yeah, decent. You got Love, Franklin Mims. Yeah, I mean, it feels okay. It feels, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't feel bad by any stretch, but it also just feels like something feels off about it.
Oh, yeah, it's a unique strategy. I haven't seen this. All the running backs are mid-round picks. This is very much of a floor team for me. I know you got Tyreek Hill, obviously. That's great.
Yeah, that's probably.
I just feel like you're limiting your own upside because either Ayuk or Debo, one of them could have a big week, but how often are both having a big week at the same time? And then same thing, even with the last picks here, like Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims, you're picking a sleeper. Are they both going to go off in Denver? I doubt it. It's kind of like, just pick one and go with it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think this is a fairly solid team, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. All right, let's go on to Yog, Lizard King, got Sun God, Kyron, DJ Moore, Rashad White, Amari Cooper, Swift, Ingram, Kyler, Jalen Warren, Shakir, Mike Williams, Caleb Williams, QJ, and Damian Pierce. This was the opposite of the last team. This was every other pick go with a different position kind of team.
Yeah. Amon-Ra Kyron is a great start. DJ Moore is fine there, I think. White's fine there. Cooper. I think the Swift pick is the pick I'm not liking here because not that I'm down on Swift by any stretch, but this is a 3 wide receiver league. And while St. Brown, DJ Moore, and Cooper are fine as your 3 wide receivers, Shakir, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, my only other wide receivers, that's not really what I want. Because remember, I mean, at a minimum, there's bye weeks, but even worse, there's injuries. You know what I mean? And like you're going to be having to run to the waiver wire to find somebody to put in your wide receiver slot if you have an injury. And then you're flexing Swift, which might be okay, but it's also risky. So I would have liked to seen a wide receiver over Swift there. I think Ingram and Murray are great. That's just the one pick that's standing out to me is that Swift pick. I think in this format, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, full PPR. Give me a wide receiver like Jaden Reed, like Lad McConkey, JSN, Xavier Worthy, whoever, as my number 4 wide receiver before I take my 3rd running back.
Yeah, that's it. It's full PPR league. It's not like you can't flex a running back, but you're probably better off flexing a wide receiver. Jaden Reed would have made more sense there. Okay, the coach, Dan Campbell, took Bijan, then went Olave Zay, Mixon, Godwin, Ramondre, JSN, Javante, Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, Brock Purdy, Michael Wilson, Cole Kmet as Titan 1, and Wan'Dale Robinson.
Somebody's been watching our videos. These are a lot of names we've talked about this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mixon in the 4th is early. I feel like Godwin in the 5th is early. But at the same time, I like those guys, so I can't complain. I even feel like Flowers at the 3-7 feels early, but again, I like him. So even though it feels like maybe some of these picks were early, they're picks I like. So I can't really complain here. I mean, if I was going to complain at all, it's that you waited on tight end and got Kmet, but okay, you waited on tight end. It is what it is. So yeah, a lot of names I like in this draft. I can't complain.
Yeah, exactly. Solid value up and down the board here. Mixon, not my favorite. I would rather take Rashad White or Kenneth Walker, but overall pretty good. Yeah, because I'm fine. Like, even though this team took 3 running backs before 4 receivers, I am fine flexing JSN.
Yeah.
So
I definitely would rather flex
anything,
JSN than Khalil Shakir. That's for sure.
I mean, again, hindsight always 2020. But if you imagine if this team would have taken Trey McBride instead of Joe Mixon and still wound up with the same everything else at running back receiver, you could totally start Ramondre as your number 2 and have Javante as your number 3 running back. And this team would be even better. Might even be the best overall. All right. Next does that say Fred? All right.
Yeah, Fred Nell 98.
Fred Nell. All right. Welcome, Fred Nell. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Pat Mahomes, Monty, Jordan Addison, Jake Ferguson, Ford, Lockett, Judy, Polk, Khalil Herbert, J.K. Dobbins.
All right. Yeah. Brees Hall there is fantastic. Man, these wide receivers, I mean, legit, are they like not even exaggerating, not even joking? Are they legit a combined 100 years old? I mean, I know they're all over 30. I don't know if I want to be relying on 3 30-plus-year-old wide receivers week in and week out. Like, it just feels too early for Adams. I've talked about Diggs so much. I'm tired of talking about Diggs. I will say I actually think Kupp at the 4-5 is fine. I think that's fine. But man, when I already have Adams and Diggs, oh, very, very risky wide receiver room there. And then you got Addison, Lockett, Judy and Polk. Yeah, very, very risky wide receiver room. Good value on Mahomes, good value on Ferguson. I like your running back room. The wide receiver room terrifies me.
Yeah, a little long in the tooth, even though they're like 30-something years old. But for an NFL player, let's just say these guys, we've seen their prime seasons, right? That's the thing. They're still serviceable, but take one of these guys, fine. But you don't want all three of your top receivers to have already had their best season.
So I just did the math. They're 92 combined years old. But Adams has his birthday in December and Diggs has his birthday in November. So during the season they'll be a combined 94. So not quite 100.
All right. So whatever the most experienced team. No, it's not a bad team. It's solid, but it feels more of a floor team right than a ceiling team.
Yep.
All right, Mixie Madden went with Garrett Wilson, Drake London. Definitely not going old here. Etienne Pacheco, Mark Andrews, and AR. Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, Xavier Leggett, Chuba Hubbard, Jill McLaughlin, Ray Davis, Bowers, and Jaden Daniels. All right, we officially have the youngest team in the league here. For redraft purposes, though, how's this going to work? We got Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, Xavier Leggett. Two of those guys basically are going to be starters.
Yeah, this team is just as risky, but for the opposite way, where, like, I mean, you're really counting on these rookies. At least you need at least one of these rookies to be good to at least be your wide receiver 3, and then you probably need another one to be your flex. Very, very risky here. I mean, I like the first 6 picks. I can't complain about Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Etienne Pacheco, Mark Andrews, Anthony Richardson. That's great, but I would have liked to seen some. I mean, I know there's not a lot on the board at wide receiver here. You're doing the best you can, but I don't know. Maybe I just would have gone a couple more wide receivers. I'm not really sure, but yeah, very risky at wide receiver for the opposite reason of Frednell.
It's always about balance, right? You don't have to have a completely balanced team, but again, if you go way too old or too young, then yeah, you're just putting yourself at a lot of risk. So look, the starting core. Well, I can't even say that because you only got 5 receivers on this team. I mean, the extra tight end, the extra quarterback. Yeah, the receiver room could wind up being a liability. I'll just put that. All right. Tony, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, DK Metcalf, James Cook, Keenan, Lamar, Kamara, Kittle, and then a string of running backs with Corum, Kendrick Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, Algier, Bucky Irving, Darnell Mooney.
This looks like a 0 RB draft that didn't draft 0 RB. Like usually when you take this many running backs in a row, it's like a 0 RB draft. But when you have Barkley and James Cook, and then you get Alvin Kamara, you shouldn't be that worried about your running back room anymore. I mean, like, sure, injuries could happen. I'm not saying don't draft a running back anymore, but you've only got A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Keenan Allen at wide receiver, and then Darnell Mooney. Like, that's it. Like, if Keenan Allen busts or A.J. Brown busts or DK Metcalf busts or they get hurt, what are you going to do? You're going to run out to the waiver wire. You're going to be starting Darnell Mooney every week. Yeah, I would have liked to seen some more wide receivers mixed in here. Definitely. So, like, I don't hate taking Saquon and James Cook, and I don't really hate the wide receivers you grab, but man, that run of running backs, especially, they're all like just pretty much Blake Corum's a handcuff. Kendrick Miller maybe will have a role. Marshawn Lloyd maybe will have a role. Algier just a handcuff. Irving maybe will have a role. Like, yeah, I need some more wide receivers in there.
Yeah, I count 8 running backs out of 14 picks. I don't know what we call this. I guess heavy, extra robust RB. I don't know what you call this. You got to start 3 receivers, and you got 3 good receivers, and then you're basically saying I'm flexing a running back, or it's like ride or die with Darnell Mooney. I'm not sure either strategy is great. Otherwise, it's good. You got a really good, solid core of starters, but yeah, just interesting strategy there. And then Twisted Bliss went to the 11 today. Got Puka, JT, Laporta, Hollywood, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson. Raheem Mostert, Aaron Jones, A.D. Mitchell, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Gibson, Tua, and Demario Douglas.
Again, quite a few names I like here. There's a couple that I don't like Aaron Jones, Josh Palmer. I'm not really drafting them. I love the first 3 picks. I mean, Puka, JT, Sam Laporta is a great start. I like Hollywood. I like Deontay Johnson. I don't know if they need to be drafted that early, but if they're your guys, they're your guys. Christian Watson, again, also feels very early here for him. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, again, a lot of players that I like. I just feel like you took them very early in this draft, which, look, isn't necessarily always a bad thing. I mean, if Hollywood, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson are great, no one's gonna care. Like, you're not gonna care where you drafted them, right? So, don't think you need to take them this early, but you did, and I like them. So I guess I can't, knock you too much for it if they're your guys.
Yeah, I actually think I like this team quite a bit because I do like the receivers you took, Hollywood, Deontay, Watson. I think those guys are going under. They're a little bit underrated. I know you typically get them later, but you're at the 11. You wouldn't have got them. Like, you either get them or you miss them. So I like these players. I like this team overall. You can mix and match Mostert, Aaron Jones, whoever happens to be healthy that week. There you go.
if either are healthy.
Yeah, hopefully it's just one of them stay on the field. All right, and then my team, I definitely tried some different things here. I'm not sure. I guess you could tell me what you think of this team. We've got Gibbs and Marvin Harrison Jr., Tank Dell, Achane, Odunze Stroud, Jameson Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, Chase Brown, Dell, Jermaine Burton, Luke Musgrave, and Rashawn Johnson.
Yeah, I don't love these wide receivers. I mean, obviously I like Harrison and Dell. Odunze stuck in Chicago. Jameson, maybe. Hopkins, it just feels like a floor play. Sutton feels like hopefully a floor play. Like, I do wonder, like, because we talked about it earlier, like, Gibbs, Achane, that's great at running back. And I do, obviously I like, you know what you're doing. So I like that you didn't go crazy at running back, kind of with the feeling like Gibbs and Achane is going to carry me. I wonder if you would, like, with this team, it felt different if, I don't even know if it would have mattered, honestly. Like, if instead of Harrison, you did go JT like we talked about, but then, like, what, you would have gone maybe Hollywood there or T. Higgins or somebody or Kirk. Does that really make this team that much better? I don't think so. So, I don't know. I'm curious some of the wide receiver choices you made, like Rome Odunze that early, Jameson that early, Hopkins, Sutton.
Yeah, I don't love the way the receivers fell there in the mid round. So I don't think taking JT would have changed much, really, because again, the receivers that were left to me at the turn would have been the same guys. I mean, Hollywood, fine, but again, I was like, I don't usually do this, but I took a quarterback kind of early. I was like, I got Tank and CJ Stroud, but if those guys don't go off this year, it wouldn't have been worth it, right? Instead of taking a quarterback there, just take a receiver. I could have got Tua the second to last round. So, yeah, again, I just feel like going at QB early doesn't necessarily pay off.
Yeah, and actually, when I look at it, I think you probably were better off going Gibbs, Marvin Harrison, because you still got Achane.
Yeah.
And you still got Harrison. Yeah, it's just the middle part of it. This was middle rounds, like 5 through 9. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. If Achane goes nuclear, this season, he's RB1. Yeah, this team is definitely in contention. And then Tank and CJ Stroud, that's what I'm really counting on here. Those guys pay off big time. But this feels like a better best ball kind of team now that I look at it, like Jameson Williams and stuff like that. Which, speaking of, we're going to do a best ball draft again on Sunday, as we do. So check that out. Underdog, if you haven't already joined Underdog, of course, do that now. Make sure you use promo code ENDGAME for all those perks that are listed below. This was just a redraft mock. We're going to do best ball on Sunday, as we have been doing every single week. And we'll be back here next Wednesday to do another regular redraft on Sleeper. Again, if you all missed it this time, make sure you got those notifications set. You can jump in here with us. All right, guys, check out all the videos that are still coming out every week, getting pretty close. Almost, few more weeks, we're going to be at training camp here, and then things are really going to ramp up, and that includes us as well. We're going to be putting out even more content for you. But in the meantime, we'll see you on the next draft.